Dan Markel, a name that echoes through both legal circles and the true crime world. Born in 1972 in Toronto, Canada, Dan was a brilliant legal mind who made his work as a professor at Florida State University. His work focused on criminal justice, retribution, and the philosophy of punishment. But beyond his publications and lectures, Dan was a father of two young boys, and it was a bitter custody dispute that prosecutors say cost him his life. In 2013, Dan divorced Wendy Adelson, a fellow FSU academic. She wanted to move their children down to South Florida, closer to her family. Dan opposed the move. Court sided with him. The custody battle raged on. And on July 18, 2014, Dan Markel was ambushed in his own garage in Tallahassee. A neighbor found him slumped in his car, the driver's window shattered, and the engine still running. Dan was alive, but barely. He was rushed to the Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare Center, but died about 15 hours later. An autopsy concluded that he had suffered two close-range gunshot wounds, one in the forehead, another in the cheek. Massive blood loss in the brain, no chance of survival. Investigators were quick to conclude that this was no random crime. Dan had been targeted. It was a murder, not a suicide. The motive, family. Prosecutors later told juries that Wendy's brother, Charlie Adelson, orchestrated the hit, that Charlie funneled $100,000 through his ex-girlfriend, Catherine McBanoa, who recruited her on and off partner, Sigfredo Garcia. Garcia brought in Luis Rivera, a fellow gang member, to help pull the trigger. At the center of it all, Donna Adelson, Wendy's mother, who prosecutors say desperately wanted her daughter and grandsons closer to her in South Florida. 6 suspects in total were tied to a Florida state criminal probe. Sigfredo Garcia, Luis Rivera, Catherine Magbanua, Charlie Adelson, Donna Adelson, and Wendy herself, though she has never been charged. The arrest played out dramatically. Garcia was caught in Hallandale Beach in possession of cocaine. Rivera surrendered peacefully at his home with his hands up. Magbanua was taken in while living with family. Charlie was raided and arrested at his residence. Donna, she was stopped at the Miami International Airport, attempting to flee with a one-way ticket to Vietnam. The legal process began in Leon County. Most of them, except for Donna, were taken to their sheriff's headquarters for processing, with state attorney Jack Campbell leading the charge alongside prosecutors David Quillen and Julie Fogg. Each suspect was booked into the Leon County Jail, and all pleaded not guilty before Judge Jonathan Jorstrom. Luis Rivera flipped first. In October 2016, he struck a plea deal, pleading guilty to second-degree murder and conspiracy, receiving a 19-year sentence to run alongside an existing 12-year federal prison sentence for gang activity. He served time at the Mariana Federal Prison before being transferred to Hernando County, their jail, which he remains there today. Sigfredo Garcia faced a jury at trial in October 2019, consisting of 12 members and 4 alternates. He was ultimately found guilty on all charges and sentenced to life in prison without parole. He is currently housed at the Liberty Correctional Institution in Bristol, Florida. Also, that month, Catherine went to trial with a separate jury containing the same amount of members. This, however, ended in a mistrial as the jury became deadlocked. Therefore, she sat in jail awaiting a retrial. In May 2022, Catherine was retried. This time, another jury of 12 members and 4 alternates unanimously found her guilty on all charges. Weeks later, she was sentenced to life in prison without parole with an additional 60 years. She is now housed at the Lowell Annex facility in Ocala. Charlie was tried in October 2023. The evidence, secret recordings, wiretaps, financial transactions, and more devastating evidence against him. A jury of 12 members and 4 alternates ultimately found him guilty on all charges. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole plus 60 years. Charlie now sits at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Lake City, Florida. In August 2025, it was Donna Adelson's turn to go to trial. In September that year, a jury convicted her on all charges. Then weeks later, she was sentenced to life in prison without parole, plus 30 years. The group of convicts have appealed their cases. Most matters remain pending. After Dan Markel's death, his estate largely passed to Wendy Adelson. She has custody of their 2 boys, while Dan's parents, Ruth and Michael Markel, have fought a painful uphill battle for visitation under Florida's restrictive grandparent laws. Dan Markel's life was remembered with services in both Florida and Canada, from Tallahassee's congressional Shamray Torah to his final resting place in Pardis Shalom Cemetery in Ontario. FSU hosted a memorial in September 2014, honoring not just a professor, but a man whose ideas shaped criminal justice. Behind the academic accolades, the law review articles, and the courtroom arguments lies a chilling truth. A man murdered not for money, not for power, but for love and control within a fractured family. Dan Markel's legacy continues, both in scholarship and in advocacy for reform, including Markel's Law, a push for stronger grandparent visitation rights in Florida. This was not just a hit, it was family turning into conspiracy. It was bitterness turned into bullets. And it remains one of the darkest chapters in Florida's legal history. This has been Strawberry Ink. May Dan Markel rest in peace. He is definitely in heaven, looking over his 2 little boys. Till next time, stay safe, watch out with who you trust, and have a good rest of your day.